Hi there, my name is Caitlin Bandy and this is my channel BandysBooks, and today is Tag Tuesday. We're here with the Quarter Year Crisis Book Tag. This is a tag that was originally created by Rasheen's Reading. I hope I've said that right. And it is just kind of an update for where you're at the quarter year point. So here we are about 3.5 months into the year, and we've got stats and things to talk about. So let's just dive straight in. Question 1, how many books have you read so far? At this very moment in time, I have 79 completed books, and I'm pretty happy with that. I feel like I have been reading a pretty consistent amount of books each month throughout the year so far. This month is looking to be a extraordinarily prolific reading month for me, just because I'm gotten hyper competitive with the readathon that I am participating in hosting, and it's really driving my numbers up. But typically I've been averaging like 20 to 25 books a month, which is kind of right in my comfort zone. I'm very happy with that. Question 2, have you already found a book that you think might be a favorite for 2023? So before this month, I would have probably either said The Vegetarian by Han Kang or The Adventures of Amin al-Sarafi by Shannon Chakraborty. I'm so happy I finally got a hardback copy of this. I loved this book a lot. But literally just this week, I also read As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow by Zulfa Katua, and this might take the cake for my favorite book of the year. Like, if I ended my reading right now, this would probably be it. This is such a good book. It is about a woman in Syria. She is a pharmacist, but because all of the medical professionals have fled Syria, she's actually working as a surgeon in a hospital. She's basically learning surgery on the battlefield, operating on people that have been evacuated from bombings, shootings, things like that. And it's pretty horrific. She's dealing with very severe post-traumatic stress disorder. She has her sister-in-law who is very pregnant, and there's a lot of pressure on her to flee and try to get to Europe to claim refugee status. And she feels really torn because she feels like she's abandoning her country if she leaves, and abandoning her country folk that aren't able to leave. And she sees that there is just a crisis level need for, emergency services and medical care. And so she really wants to stay and deal with that. But as she comes to terms with the things that are happening, and especially with her sister-in-law's pregnancy, she realizes it's not tenable for her to stay in Syria. And this just really explores the refugee crisis. This explores the war in Syria, the differing sides, and what's happening, the dire consequences of having no medical professionals there to deal with these horrific injuries. The reason that I think it's one of my favorites is this was probably the most emotionally impactful book I've read in a long time. Question 3, what was your favorite book that wasn't quite a 5-star? I find this to be kind of an odd question. So if it was a favorite book, it would be in the 5-star category for sure. But looking at what I rated 4 stars, and then looking at the reasons that I rated them 4 stars, and like which ones were the closest to being 5 stars for me, the 2 that I picked out were Mame by Jessica George and The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. I really enjoyed both of these books, and honestly, they're both really well written. Probably a lot of people rate them 5 stars. The only reason for me that Mame wasn't quite a 5-star is because I've read a lot of similar books to this one, and The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin, the reason this one wasn't a 5-star was because it was a very slow start. It took me a good bit of this book to get into it, but once I got into it, it really picked up. So for me, both very, very close to that 5-star mark, and both really good books. Question number 4, what was your least favorite book of the year so far? I think this will come as no surprise, but my least favorite book of the year so far was Trust Exercise by Suzanne Choi. I have a full-scale review up here with all the reasons behind why I didn't like it, why I felt like it didn't work. But suffice it to say that it's experimental fiction, and experimental fiction is very polarizing. I am clearly on the negative side on this one. For me, the experiment portion of it took up 75% of the book, and then the 25% of the book that was really interesting just wasn't enough to redeem the 75% that I had to slog through. It was a very short book, like 250 pages or something like that, but it felt like I was reading like 900 pages. It was the slowest, most tedious thing ever, and I just didn't enjoy it at all. I applaud people that try to do experimental things with their literature. I'm sure that there's somebody out there that really appreciates it for what it is, but I certainly was not that person. Question number 5, what is your most read genre so far? Literary fiction. I'm excited because last year I feel like I really focused a lot on contemporary fiction, and I didn't focus so much on the literary aspect of it. But this year I've been making a concerted effort to read more literary fiction. I love really beautiful prose. I love really lyrical writing. And I love this like experimental stuff that, you know, comes up with literary fiction a lot more. So I'm really happy to see that reflected in my statistics. Question 6, a book that surprised you. I'm not gonna lie, the book that surprised me the most was When You Trap a Tiger by Tate Heller. I am not a big middle grade reader. I don't have kids in my family. I am the baby of my family, so I do not get exposed to middle grade books a lot. And because of that, I feel like I had a perception of middle grade books as being very juvenile and like almost like a little kid's picture book. And then I read When You Trap a Tiger, and it talked about basically her grandmother, you know, being in her end days, having a terminal illness and grief and just all of these complex things. And I mean, yes, it was simplified a bit so that a child could understand it, but I didn't actually feel like the story was lacking for that simplicity. I felt like it delved into a lot of really deep topics, and it made me really reevaluate my opinions of middle grade, because it isn't juvenile in the way that I thought it would be. I guess I thought it would just be boring and dull and meaningless, and it was super impactful and emotional and really well written. Question 7, what is a 2023 new release that has already released and you're excited to read but haven't read yet? So for me, that would be Lone Women by Victor Laval. This is a book that was just released last month. Book of the month, as you can see, picked it as one of their choices. Victor Laval writes horror, and I'm gonna say probably based on some feedback I've seen lately, his horror maybe isn't for everyone. I personally love his writing style. I read The Changeling, I really enjoyed it. I'm expecting to really love this one too. I just haven't sat down and read it yet, but it is on my soon-to-read list. This one is, I believe, about a woman who escapes out into like California, into the wild, and basically takes up the government on their offer of free land if you can farm it. But I think there's like a horror element that mixes in. I think she thinks she's alone, but she's not really alone. We don't know exactly why yet. Question 8, what's one goal that you are succeeding at so far in 2023? Probably the goal that I've been doing the best with in 2023 is to post consistently. I have been posting pretty much every single day since the start of the new year. There's been a few days that I've missed for various reasons, but for the most part, I post almost every single day. And I am super excited to see that consistency. And question 10, who are some new to you booktubers in 2023? Some new to me booktubers that I've only crossed paths with in the last month or so are Kit the Reader. They are an awesome channel. I really like their content, and they have some really thoughtful discussions of some very important topics in particular. And Adventures in the Enchanted Forest, I met Denise via the Nevermoreathon. She is the main host of it, and I got invited on by one of the other co-hosts, and Denise is just a lovely person, and her channel is full of all sorts of fun stuff as well. And if you're not already subscribed to this channel, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button down below, as well as the notification bell, so that you never miss a video, and that way we can see each other again soon. Thanks so much for joining. Bye.